Yo, what's going on, guys? So everybody pretty much heard the news of the day. Errol Spence enforces the rematch for Bud Crawford, most likely at 154. Look, guys, I'm a big fan of Errol Spence. I'm a huge fan of Errol Spence. I can't emphasize that enough. Um, I have a soft-spoken voice, so the talking points or the emphasis doesn't do it justice. But I respect the hell out of that man because he's a man of honor. He's a man of his word. Everything that he set out to do, cleaning his side of the street, he did it. He also told us that he was going to save Bud Crawford for last. We know why he did that. But just like most people, right? It's a story of two halves, right? A tale of two truths, of many truths. One thing is for certain, we as human beings, we're all flawed. But when people have their flaws, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, right? Some people can work with their flaws. They can circumvent certain things to be like, okay, I'm not the biggest, but I can make this short aspect of my life work. And then there are those people that are flawed because they don't learn. They don't accept the facts. They don't accept their lessons. And sometimes God sends you signals, right? It could be your destiny. It could be your fate. Could be a little bit of luck or fortune. But then you don't listen to the message. That's Errol Spence's biggest flaw. Is that he's essentially Iron Man. But he doesn't learn the lesson of life. You see, like Virgil Hunter said, it takes wisdom to get old. And that holds so much weight when we see a lot of these celebrities and pop artists and youth die at the age of 21, right? Or even 27. There was these conspiracies, the 27th rule. I'm a big fan of Errol Spence, but his ultimate flaw is that he doesn't learn his lesson. You see, he's danced with the devil once already, right? He was driving extremely fast. His car spun out. He got ejected off his vehicle. Hell, he's fucking lucky to be alive. But that wasn't enough, right? He still wanted to continue on this path. And what made him and what brought attention to his world and everybody that's influenced by Errol, right? He wanted to continue to box. So he had a tune-up and he fought Danny Garcia. But we saw a little bit of signs there that we were typically not used to seeing of Errol. He started to show fatigueness. Then he was scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao, and the residual effects is, he had a detached retina, maybe from sparring or maybe from the car accident. Who knows who done it? So he had to pull out, and then eventually he fights Yordenis Ugas. And right there we saw a little bit of more flaws, right? And his uncanny ability to clench hard into his mouthpiece, right? The piece was falling out of his mouth when he got hit with Ugas. But it was more the mental lapse that he didn't turn around first to, go back on the defensive end and put his dukes up. He was looking for the mouthpiece on the ground, and boom! Ugas caught him with another right shot. Wobbled him, but he wasn't out and about. That lapse of mental judgment, of impairment, that little slip up would eventually be his downfall. Again, he doesn't learn his lesson. He danced with the devil once, and he chose to continue and dance with him for a second time. In the press conference with Bud, right, he stated that I've been getting out of line my whole life. And he said it with such fortitude and arrogance, as if that's a good thing. Bud responded to him and he said, well, if you get out of line, I'm going to catch you with this hook. And everybody just thought it was banter. But that phrase and arrogance of Errol is very brave. But what do we know about brave men? Is that they don't live long, right? See, a coward will live forever because he runs away from his problems. He doesn't face the problems face on. But our soldiers, that are revered and brave, right? Sometimes they don't come back home. Errol's lucky and fortunate enough to come back home twice. And now he signs this contract against, I'm not calling, Bud Crawford the devil, but figuratively speaking, he is bad for Errol's. And it's this disbelief of Errol, or maybe his arrogance of he wants to get back. When everyone that loves him or that should care about him, like his mom and his dad and his children and his girlfriend and his wife, they should tell him, you know what, bro? I know you want to fight him immediately, but let's take a tune-up and fine-tune some and certain things. Because see, everybody wants to make excuses, right? Like Wilder when he got beat by Fury. And the second time, you were in disbelief. Oh, it was glove glade. He had loaded gloves. No, bro, he was essentially bitch slapping you. They didn't have loaded gloves. Oh, there's something wrong with Errol Spence. He was nervous. Some people are alluding that he was smoking weed. Other people are saying that, he didn't look right. He was dehydrated and all these aspects. Oh, the weight cut. Now you're making an excuse, right? When rather dealing with the reality is the weight cut didn't make Errol react the way he reacted. Errol defensively was, ducking his head, getting punched behind the head. He wasn't reacting well to the shots that Bud, whether it was the speed and the power. Look no further in the second round. He got knocked down by a jab, not to the chin, not to the nose, not to the temple. He got pushed by a 2-1. Mind you, the 2 didn't really land. And then the 1 landed on his neck. In the second round, he fell down. He wasn't reacting very well to the punches. Now, you might say, well, if he adds weight and he fights him in 7 more pounds, up at 154, he's going to react better. For those that never really been in a fight or sparred, there's 2 things that happen when you spar somebody and that person drops you. 2 things. When you get dropped, obviously you have to get back up. But 2 things happen in that moment. 1 is your opponent is filled with confidence. And 2, not only is your confidence low, now you have to try to take that man's confidence away while trying to restore your own, that knockdown wasn't, or, maybe it was a flash knockdown. But you got to let your opponent know, because what's going to follow after that event of you landing on your ass is he's going to come out with a blitz of punches. And you got to get him to stop. Errol wasn't able to get Bud to stop. In fact, Bud carried Spence over to, I don't know, the 9th round, I think, or the 7th round when it was all said and done. But in the meantime, Errol sustained a true ass beating that I haven't seen since Margarito Cotto, Canelo James Kirkland, of the fights of past years. But the thing is, those fighters, you can, I guess, predict that Canelo would knock out James Kirkland, right? That certain fights will get the ass beaten. We didn't expect this with Bud because most, even if you favored Bud, everyone was thinking it's a 50-50. That couldn't be further from the truth after what happened a couple months ago. Again, Spence isn't learning his lesson. See, a lot of people just assume that Errol was out of a club and he was drinking and he was stepping on the gas pedal, and that's why his car spun out. But really, nobody asked, why was he driving so fast? Allegedly, I don't mean to self-incriminate, right? This is just a scenario. I know of a lot of people that when they drink and drive, they actually go below the speed limit. They go so fucking slow that they get pulled over. You know why? Because your reaction time, right? You're actually much more conscious, and you're much more cognizant of like the speedometer, especially if you got people that you're riding with, right? What was Errol Spence driving so fast away from? Was he being chased? Did something happen at the club? And you can be like, nah, bro. He was just drunk. It happened to, the football player from the Raiders, Ruggs, Henry Ruggs. Yeah, but something happened in there in that club that he had to take his chick, right? And then they drove off and boom, impact. So what was Errol running away from? I think he was running away from something. Now there's rumors and things of what I'm saying, or maybe he was just drunk and he lost control, right? You know, because some people do drive, some people do get drunk and then they get like this adrenaline junkie high and they just want to see that cold wind and they're, you know, get their adrenaline pumping and jack up their heart rate. There's a lot of people that do that, right? I mean, they made movies about it. You see the Quentin Tarantino movie Death Proof. Anyway, let me not digress. So Errol signs essentially what I think is a death sentence because the people that really care about him should tell him, you know what, Errol, don't fight this dude. He was just better than you. Accept the lesson and learn from it. That fight, I was in disbelief how easy Errol was pieced apart. When I look at the images captured by the photographers in that moment, it looked like if it was a lesson shown to the world, almost like a public execution, almost as if Bud was making an example of Errol. He wanted to punish Errol. Because in that second round, he tried to get him out of there, but the bell rang, you know, it was like 10 seconds already left. But he carried him. And he made sure that those images and that scar tissue and that scarring and that ass beating that Bud gave Errol, he wanted it to be in the hearts and minds of people, but not in the good way. He wanted to make Errol an example because Errol talked a gang of shit, right? And he was arrogant about it. He was pompous. If they do fight in the rematch, that most likely, a lot of people will be like, well, he's only going to be able to do better. It could also be much more worse. Look what happened to Wilder in the rematch against Fury, right? Now you can be like, well, he needed a trilogy. Look at what he did in the third fight. Yeah, but now you sustain 3 ass beatings. Not back to back because there was fights in the middle. But that's what Errol should do. He should go fight like a tune-up. Get back into your winning ways. Fine-tune some stuff. Get used to 154. Hell, you might make an excuse that cutting down to 147 after a year layoff and not being inactive. Well, now imagine doing that, but now knowing that the guy is full of confidence that he can fuck you up. Now, also, Bud can also be much more stronger and bigger. No one's taking that factor. Everyone's assuming that Spence is going to be bigger than Bud, when in reality, Bud can be huge. Hell, Bud is talking about fighting dudes at 168, Canelo and Jermell if he beats Canelo. You don't hear that same rhetoric from Spence. Again, going back to confidence and having a confidence issue, Spence has to regain his while trying to snatch Bud's confidence off of him. You can't do that when that guy already has an up on you. You can't be more confident than the guy, right, who snatched your chick. You just can't. On that note, I'm going to leave it at that. What's going on with you, Roar? I'm not too sure if you hear me.
What's
I know
up,
you're
G?
in the gym, but what's going on with you, brother?
Yeah, my bad. I'm in the gym, bro. I just got off the Stepmaster.
Nice, bro. Sounds
I
good.
was going for that 100,
What you peak at? 30 stories,
70,
20 stories?
70 stories, bro. That ain't shit.
Hey,
But
70
I was,
stories. Now, that's a lot, bro. That's something to be proud of right there. That's 70
well,
stories would be about how many steps?
I didn't count the steps. I go by stories because
Okay. Give or
close
take, it
enough to
should be
work.
like 1,000. Because I remember I did something similar to that and it was like 1,000. But good stuff, bro.
Well, try to go for like 30 minutes, close to 100 floors. But 70's fine. So trying to get out of here all soaking wet, bro. I'm done, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. What's going on with you, Speed?
Gentlemen, good afternoon to one and all. Nothing's going on, man, except you're talking about one of my Tista Roar. So that's
Well,
what you look like.
this is what I look like, my G. Yeah.
All right. Well, good to finally meet you on these internet streets.
Yeah.
So you were saying you did something about 70 floors.
There you go. That's where I get out of. Yeah,
Oh
All
wow,
right, all right,
70
on.
floors. Something light, light work. Just doing some light work today.
that's awesome. Um, well, as always, I'd like to start off by saying thank you very much to homie Ricky for being so kind and considerate, and always allowing me to rob you of your lifetime by putting on your ear and distracting you with ideations that probably are not always in line with yours. But at the end of the day, we're just here to learn from each other, to exchange ideas and a difference of opinion, and sometimes we can come to a consensus where perhaps we agree one of us is right, the other one maybe right the next time, and if not, we can probably synthesize an idea between yours and mine and make things work so that we can still walk off feeling that we learned from each other and became better as a result. I am currently sitting behind the steering wheel of a 1968 Chevelle truck, better known as Nel Camino. I'm not sure if you can see it, but that right there is my son, who's doing finishing touches on this vehicle. And yeah, so I purchased
Hey,
this vehicle for myself. I always
Warpsy, I'm sorry, man. From where I'm from, you call that child labor, man.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Well,
finishing
wait.
labor work.
Technically, he's 1 month an adult now, so he turned 18 as of July. So yeah, technically he's no longer a child slave. But so I purchased this Chevelle truck uh maybe about 2 years ago, and I have a few other vehicles that I've been working on. As you may recall, one of the very first lives I was working on a 1970 Impala. I'm still working on that, but I wanted something to cruise, and this vehicle was operable. The other one is what you call a rust bucket. It has to be a off frame restoration, and I'm doing everything. I'm doing the floors, I'm fabricating metal, welding everything, painting, priming. I'm doing it all. But when I purchased this vehicle, I just wanted like a quick shortcut, just something that I could do a little bit of body work and paint it and get it done for what I anticipated was going to be good days. And I was right. The city of Salinas, the city from where I am born and raised, um, lifted its 32-year ban uh, on the activity, the cultural form of expression known as slow riding and cruising. Um, so I purchased this vehicle right before vehicles that are old and decrepit and rusty became expensive toys. They've always been expensive toys, but there's been an explosion of the market value for these vehicles. No matter the condition in the state of California, if you have an old car, which is considered a classic from the 70s down, it'll sell for big bucks. So I purchased this at a right penny, but it turned out that it was a derby vehicle. This Marine who sold it to me, he was either a derby driver or he purchased it from a derby driver. So this vehicle is a pastiche of three or four vehicles: a roof from one vehicle, a quarter panel from the other, a frame from another, and so forth and so on. To do the body work. Um, my son turned 18 about a month ago or so, and I decided to give it to him. So I told him I'd give it to him in one condition: you learn how to do body work, you learn how to do welding, you learn how to take things apart, pull them back together. I want you to learn how to work on the mechanical aspects of the vehicle, including the engine, do the electrical, and I'm just going to guide you by sending you either the correct YouTube videos or just showing you for a few hours how to do the manual work and then leave him all to his own devices. So right now he's just busting his ass, working on his car, and tomorrow we should prime this vehicle, and maybe next weekend we'll probably decide on what color we'll paint it. And he's looking at either some kind of a form of blue, a shade of blue, or an orange hue. So we'll decide. But it's apropos because in case you guys do not know this, I'm about to drop something major. The city of San Jose, after almost a 4 year a 4 decade long ban on the act of cruising, made cruising a a right. And tomorrow, by chance, what has historically been considered the city of lowriding, the capital of lowriding, San Jose, California, is going to have a major event, taking up the boulevards of King and Story and City Hall, and it's going to be packed full of hundreds, if not thousands, of lowriders from up and down the state. So if anybody wants to have a good time, discover some culture, look at some beautiful iridescent vehicles, dance, and bump some music, and just have a good time, hit it up tomorrow, 1 to 5. But as far as I'm concerned, that party's going to last all night and into the weekend.
Shout out to the city of San Jose.
So, homie Ricky, Errol Spence, he, as of a couple of hours ago, decided to implement his right under contract to rematch he who destroyed him, Terrence Bud Crawford. And from what I am hearing from you, you are not a big fan of this. And to tell you the honest truth, neither am I, just off the sense that I don't see this fight as a necessary fight. I find it to be rather moot. I don't think it provides anything of value to the fan because there was no competition in the first outing. And furthermore, I believe it's going to be a pay per view event, which makes it doubly worse for the consumer. Now, I do have to disagree in a few things. You were phrasing this fight as if Errol Spence and is in some type of peril, and that any proponent for this fight, including his family members and his team, would be remiss in allowing this fight to take place, knowing the kind of hazard that this man will likely be facing for a second time around. And I think you failed to look at it like this. A couple of days ago, we were discussing Daniel Dubois and how he quit. I believe the day of yesterday, we were discussing how Ryan Garcia quit with the very few punches that Gervonta Tank Davis landed on him. We were criticizing these folks for what most people construe as quitting, as attrition. I think that although I'm not interested in this fight, I believe that this demonstrates the valor, the persistence of Errol Spence Jr. and never giving up. And we know this because of the first fight. He kept getting up and up after he kept getting beat. But secondly, it demonstrates that resiliency that only the greatest of champs can show. Greater than Anthony Joshua, greater than fan favorite Ryan Garcia, better than underdog puncher's chance Daniel Dubois, and all the other fighters that have come before him that accept the defeat. This man is willing to not accept it, and he's trying to go to a higher weight class to allow him the chance to at least be a bit more competitive. Now, it is a common belief that in a rematch, the more skillful fighter, and especially the one that can make adjustments, will likely have the odds in favor of them. Now, I think the only man that can make adjustments in this fight would be Errol Spence Jr. And the reason for that is because Terrence Bud Crawford already knows all the tricks, already pulled all the stops to beat Errol Spence. And in fact, Errol Spence could only do better because we know he's always been a basic fighter. So if you're a basic fighter, that means there's room for growth and development. If that's the case, the only one that can make any kind of changes in this approach to this fight will be Errol Spence Jr. because Crawford doesn't have to do that because he knows he has the winning recipe. Now, what do you gentlemen think? What do you think, Tester War? Am I reasonable in my assumptions that although this fight is unnecessary, it may just play out differently because of the conditions, one of them being weight, and secondly, the opportunities afforded to Errol Spence to demonstrate that he still has heart to take punishment and learn something from a first fight.
Well, before I begin, I'm driving and I've noticed I'm getting cut off. So just I'd like to excuse myself for that, gentlemen. If it's
You
cutting off
okay?
too much, I'll pull over to the side real quick. But
Oh, you're
I
perfect.
mean, I'm a big Spence fan. I definitely
Hmm.
think he's a fan favorite for what they like to call Mexican style. Come forward, search and destroy, seek and destroy. I like that about him. He's a southpaw. He's a he does like Mikey said. Mikey thought he had him figured out. He's like, we do the same damn thing. We're very basic. Easy does it. We jab. Easy does it. The fundamentals. That's what I liked about Mikey. Nobody solved this damn thing except Errol Spence. Errol Spence was just a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger than Mikey, and he stood his ground. That's what Mikey didn't see. That I guess he got it wrong. He didn't measure him the way he thought he did. But
Hmm.
I think redemption. He's on the road for redemption. I really think that the weight. Obviously, he's fought at that weight before. No excuses. I get it. But I still think Spence is the better fighter. You said Spence can't do anything different. I'm sorry. Crawford can't do anything different. He fought him southpaw. He still has another stance, a whole different style to fight him. He
That
definitely
is
has a
true.
whole another world. And I don't think he's come out with all the bag of tricks. Great reflexes, great timing, killer instinct. He pieces them up, hits them right in the button, doesn't waste too many shots. Yeah, I did see a lot of back in the head punches. That's what really got Errol Spence. I don't think he's been hit back in the head too many times, but he definitely needs to make a claim with the ref this time. It is what it is. It's boxing. Everything is fair until you get disqualified, until they fight, until you lose. Then you can want to have all the excuses in the world. And even then, who gives a shit? Look at Lomachenko and Salido. He got fucking low blowed left and right. Salido ended up winning the fight. Lomachenko is clearly the better fighter, but it is what it is. It's boxing, you know?
Hmm.
And that's what Errol Spence needs to do. I think he needs to out muscle him. He needs to bully his ass up, clinch, make it a dirty fight, beat his ass. Because his whole reaction, Bud Crawford is way faster at reaction. He's more athletic, and he doesn't miss his shots. He makes sure whatever he throws out there, it's gonna hit him right in the button. It's gonna hit him in the head, whatever it is. But if I was Derek, if I was Spence's coach, I'd say we're gonna make this a fucking dirty fight. We're gonna clinch his ass. We're gonna make it a B hop fight. We're gonna make it a fucking Salido fight. We're gonna make it as dirty as it can without getting you know disqualified. Fuck it. This is boxing. You don't cry.
Hmm.
You're not gonna come out here and cry. You beat the shit out of me. I'm gonna make sure I get my licks back. I'm gonna get my
Hmm.
licks back, and you're not gonna like it. But guess what? I'm gonna be fucking happy.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
I never even pondered that. I never factored in the fact that that
Dirty boxing.
no,
Fuck it.
no,
It gets
no.
the
That
job done. He's not.
well,
Well, hold on,
well,
hold
the
on.
thing is this.
Let me interject real quick. Errol
Yeah,
tried to make it a dirty. He tried to make it dirty at times, but
and for
Bud
the most part, he's been dirty, right?
hold on, man, hold on. Bud pushed him off him. Bud created separation. Bud threw some hellacious body shots that contorted the whole body and diaphragm of Errol. He landed. Bud didn't just beat him from the distance.
Yup.
Didn't just beat
Yup.
him in the jabbing game. He also beat him on
I
the
heard.
inside game. He
I
even
heard he
beat him
broke
with
a
the
rib. I
dirty
don't.
aspect
I,
of boxing. He hit him to the body and he hit him even behind the ear and the neck, behind the head area when he dug down. In every single aspect, Bud tore him the fuck up. It was not competitive. Look, when you said speed earlier about look, man, it isn't aren't you kind of like contradicting yourself when you're saying, oh, Dubois quit, right? He didn't sustain enough of an ass beating, basically, right? Just to summarize. whereas Errol sustained too much. Look. As we all know, there's this very ambiguous or vague line of receiving too much of an ass beating versus when you quit or the fight gets stopped too early or too late, right? It's a very fine line of metric. But if I can give you a couple of suggestions, it's like this. Oscar Valdez was competitive with Navarrete up to a certain point, right?
Mhm.
And then it was the certain point of a point of no return when that completely eye was shut out. So there was no need to go past the championship rounds because it clearly showed that Navarrete was not going to slow down and that face was only going to get worse. Now, while you're still there and you can still see with one eye and you're still hitting these throwing out these haymakers and you might land one every minute, the reality is the other guy still threw 100 punches and landed 30 punches on you. At one certain point, Eddie, you got to stop the fight. Okay. Now, let me go to a different point. Kell Brook versus Triple G. Sure, that eye was broken, but Kell Brook decided to quit because he was still on his feet. He was still standing. And what happened when Dominic Ingo threw out the flag? Kell Brook was like, no, I'm still here. Like, he still opened up his arms like, bring it, motherfucker. And then Triple G eventually, look no further than Lomachenko versus Richard Comey. During the 7th round, when he dropped Richard Comey, Loma looked to the ref and he was like, hey, bro, do you want me to keep pounding on this dude? Interject yourself and stop this fight. Why? Richard Comey sure is wobbly, but he's still in the fight. So there's a very fine line that refs, commissions, doctors, or cornermen in competition, in fighting, have to assess and make a deciding factor to stop it or to extend the fight. Same thing with family members. Okay, going back now to Errol, same thing with family members. If you care about Errol's health, then you go about doing the right steps to actually try to give you the best footing and chance to beat Bud Crawford. Going into an immediate rematch is not good for you because of all the things I said in the beginning of the video or the podcast or whatever. The proper steps is let's have a tune-up fight. Let's go back into tying up certain things. Let's get back into be active. Let's not jump right into it and get my ass beat, right? Because when, for instance, I got to look at the box rec, but when Fury and Wilder fought the first time, right? I don't think they had an immediate rematch, or maybe they did. And then when they fought the third time, Tyson Fury signed a contract with ESPN. I don't remember exactly the order of operation of certain events, but they had a tune-up. Wilder had a fight in between. Fury had a fight in between, and then they fought for a third or the second time.
Mhm.
I don't exactly remember the in-betweens because I know he fought like Otto Wallin and some other dude, Fury, and then Wilder had somebody in between. That's what you're supposed to do. Get back into the state of flow. Get back into your winning ways,
Mhm.
right? Especially in the manner, look, these are 4 fights that are big in size that everybody perceived to be 50-50 on paper. And these are 4 fights that we don't need to see a rematch because, to your point, they were not competitive enough. Naoya Inoue versus Fulton. Nobody wants to see a rematch. Fulton should not have the right for the rematch, whether it's a contract obligation or not. Bro, you got completely outboxed, outschooled, outfought. You look like a kid. Like the dude, like whatever. Ryan Garcia versus Tank. That does not deserve a rematch. I don't care how much pay-per-view buys it did. It showed that there was levels to it and you did not rise up to the occasion, right? Oscar Valdez versus Navarrete. That does not deserve a rematch. Bud versus Spence does not deserve a rematch because Bud showed that he was levels up in every single aspect. Dirty boxing, infighting, distant, jabbing, taking certain things away. There was no competition. Now, you guys might say, well, here's the 7 pounds. It might be better. Could also be worse. Yo, so
Yeah.
I guess we're exposing the whole damn shebang today, huh?
Hey,
But
there's my fingers. So look, homie, the homie Ricky. Okay, I get all that, right? But the
if you
sport of
did, you wouldn't have
boxing,
asked the question.
in the sport of boxing, there is no half step in homie Ricky, right? Errol Spence knows nothing else besides giving punches and receiving punches, right? And the when you become a family member, especially a parent of a family member, you of a fighter, you know that you're putting your child at risk of physical harm, and you assume that uh, risk from the moment you step into the ring, and you tell them go in there and fight. Right? It takes a special type of individual to subject themselves, or in this case, as you would like to place it, the family members of a fighter, to say after decades of fighting, you know what? Take a step, take a step back, fall off. Don't do it. Don't put food on the table. Give up. Don't fight the man. And when we consider this rematch, which by the way, I am not a big fan of the immediate rematch. I detest detest the idea that any fight at any time when it's being negotiated would necessitate a rematch clause, because that's really just basically all business, right? It's all business at the detriment of the fighters that are waiting for their opportunity. And then we have some situations like this one, where it turns out that there is no rematch necessary because the victory of one fighter and the conquest over the other is so dominant that you can't even fathom why the person should even have a chance at
Wait,
rematching that
let
fighter.
me just inter, interfere a little bit. I'm not against the rematch.
I
Okay,
am.
I'm against the rematch for it to be next. I'm
Well,
against what
see,
you
that's
just
the
said.
thing, though. You
The
said that,
immediate rematch is what I'm against. You see, I
but
don't
that's
mind
what they
Spence
have written
fighting.
in the contract, though. So
Absolutely,
we
but
can't be
I'm not
talking about
against
anything
Spence
else.
fighting. Yeah, right. But no, you actually can find somebody else. I'm against Spence fighting Bud after what I just witnessed. Okay. And in fact, everybody should be against that. I'm talking about parents, promoters, networks, and all that. Because in the order of things, when you get your ass beat, and depending on the manner of which it happens, right? That's what calls for certain things. So, for instance, in this situation, bro, you need to go work yourself up back in the ladder. For instance, I'm not against Tank versus Ryan ever rematching. No, but what do you have to do? You got to pick yourself up, right? And then go back into your winning ways. You don't just, oh, it's on the contract. No, because the contract can be like, I'm not going to force the immediate rematch. We'll just revisit it at a certain different time. Again, going back to last night and today, the timing of certain things matter. Okay. The timing is very important. And right now it's bad timing because to be honest with you, not only do I don't care for Errol to fight Bud Crawford, right? Because no one benefits that, right? In terms of the significance of undisputed, no belts are going to be online in the rematch. So it loses that aura. You see, if Spence were to beat Bud, guess what? Congratulations. But you're not undisputed, right? You lost that
Yeah. So
moment to
yeah,
shine.
no,
Hold
yeah,
on, hold
that
on.
is
You
actually
lost that
true.
moment to shine. If you beat Bud, guess what? You don't strip him of history anymore because he's already two-time undisputed, right? If
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
if you
So
all right, bro, keep talking now, bro, because
all
you
right,
always
keep going, keep going, keep going. I thought that was your point. Go for it. You don't have to get all answered. Come on, grow up. Keep going.
no,
Keep
no. It's
cooking.
just that you like to
Keep
interrupt,
cooking. Keep
but
cooking. Get over it. Keep
obviously you
cooking.
can't keep it in your pants. So say
Keep
your say.
cooking. Keep cooking, bro.
Just say your piece, bro. Just say your piece.
No, I
Keep it
said
cooking,
keep
guys.
cooking, bro. I thought you were done. I thought you were done. But
Yeah.
every time anybody cuts you off, it's like, whoa, 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 my butt got hurt again.
No,
If you
it's because I let you guys talk, and then I don't even interrupt once. But you guys don't do the same
you just
thing.
interrupted me. You just interrupted me. In fact, so here's the thing: if you're not gonna talk, let me do it. Right? These
Keep
are grown
cooking, Mike
people.
G's.
Yeah, look. Here's the thing, bro. You're talking about parents. What the hell, Errol Spence Jr.'s parents gonna tell him? He's a grown adult. He has kids of his own. He has a rent to pay. He has a job to do. After a while, regardless of what kind of fondness and respect you have for your parents, you have a job to do of your own. The any other opinions, whether of his family members, of anybody, matter not when it has to feed his family and when he wants to get his redemption. You see, he wants to have an opportunity to redeem himself and to pick himself up and to subject himself to pain to overcome that so that he can again beat the man who beat him. I think that's commendable. I think that means he's the opposite of a quitter. I think that's a person that has an unconquerable heart. And I think that's commendable. Do I care to watch the fight? No. Do I want to see a rematch? No. And in fact, the thing is this: I already told you, I'm completely against the idea of an immediate rematch. But you're talking about a rematch later on in the future should they cross paths. Hey, I'm all for that. But the fact of the matter is this: there is no promises that Errol Spence Jr., if he fights anybody at 154, whether that's Tim Sue or Mendoza or Ramos or whoever's at 154, that he will even have success to overcome that, and that he won't be subjected to the same kind of physical harm that he was subjected to his last fight. You see, so you don't bet on the future; you bet on what you have before you. You see what I'm saying? And he has an opportunity to take on the man to beat him right now without having to hope for the future and everything works out right for him. He has an opportunity to make money and to redeem himself and to beat the man who beat him. I think that's commendable. Is it the right thing to have an immediate rematch clause? No. Do I want to pay for it? Absolutely not. But what are we talking about here? You want him to turn away the opportunity to make things better for him because you think his parents have a say in what his career and the movements in his life should be like? No, no, no way.
So you're actually completely wrong because you never stop being a parent, whether you're fucking 100 years old and your kid's 70. At the end of the day, again, going back to the point, Errol doesn't learn from his lessons. Look, going back to a few of your things, the only thing that I think it's valid is redemption because he still got a family fee and a ranch to pay. Well, the first pay-per-view did great numbers. So this is no longer a question about money because you should have gotten that. You sacrificed a whole year of inactivity, the refusal and your arrogance to now fight Keith Thurman in between and get a tune-up fight. See, Bud Crawford did take a tune-up fight. He fought David Avanesian in
This
December,
guy.
knocked him out, has to get inside game,
Oh
and he
God.
fought him. Errol refused to do that. So this is no longer a question about money. It's only about a question about redemption. And here's the thing: I don't know about you, but when you see any redemption film or any story, right, or in the age of war, they don't immediately go fight him. What they do, they plot. They take their time. Again, it's the issue of timing. Immediate rematches are only called for when the fights are competitive, A, and B, if there was some wrongdoing, like a robbery. So, for instance, Jermell Charlo versus Tony Harrison, it was controversial. It deserves a rematch, an immediate one. Jermall Charlo versus Matt Korobov, that deserves a rematch because Jermall lost and Jermell won that fight versus Tony Harrison the first time. Both fights were close, but the results were wrong. Matt Korobov should have been a champion. Jermell Charlo should have retained his belts. It was a very interesting night
I
that
thought
day.
Harrison won, bro. My bad.
Now, the only story is the redemption story. That's the only reason why this situation sells. But aside from that, though, in the manner in which Errol got beat, all right, if I'm Bud Crawford, you know what? I don't honor that rematch. And I'm going to tell you why. Errol and Bud can make a lot of money fighting essentially anybody now. Errol can come back and fight Keith Thurman. That fight's going to sell, right? Because you can sell the narrative of, the road to redemption. I got to get my first tune-up. I don't even suggest him to fight Brian Castano or Tim Tszyu. Those guys will knock the block off Errol. I'm talking about maybe fighting another inactive fighter, such as yourself, moving up to another weight class, such as yourself, like Keith Thurman. All right? Not a guy who just fucking stripped you of your identity. Bro, those pictures are haunting. Okay? Now, Errol says something about, so there's your road to redemption. Okay? If I'm Bud, I don't sign that contract for a rematch because it takes the aura of what I did to you that night. And what I did to you is something above pictures and words that people can ever illustrate or try to interpret. All right? Because you can't interpret an act of disbelief. You just are in shock and awe. All right? Bud should not fight Errol out of respect for himself, out of respect of Bud's incredible performance. Not because Errol can strip it away. No, because you got to let it marinate. You got to let it cook. You got to let it be ingrained into the hearts and minds of people. If you fight immediately, people kind of forget what happened in the first time. Because hell, Errol can, he can try to win. He might win. Who knows? Or Bud might even knock him out in one punch in the first round. It could even be much worse for Spence. You gotta let it marinate. You see, Bud and Spence is not thinking right. He's not letting this process marinate. He's not thinking clearly. Because clearly, if you only want for the immediate rematch, why are you taking it? Okay, you say it's a story for redemption to get back. Get back what? You're not gonna get back your record. You're not gonna get back that night. You're not going to ever get back those titles unless you fight at 147. And I guarantee you this, when you fight, you're not getting back that victory over that dude because Bud is superior in every aspect. Bro, he tossed you around like a rag doll, like a fucking rag doll. He had your body this way, your
Yeah,
legs this way. He contorted you, bro.
that's
He became a
that's a
fucking
loser
bro. His whole body was
mentality,
deformed.
Ricky.
Go for it.
That's a loser mentality, right? Um, he look. We know that Terrence Bud Crawford has never that dominant with any fight ever. He's never busted a face. He's never bloodied a nose. He's never broken a rib. He did it all of a sudden with his highest level of competition, a guy who fell with a jab. All right. Now, I'm a person that looks things at face value, right? That's how I take it. I don't care what happened. I understand that Terrence Crawford has always been a more stylistically advantaged fighter over basic Errol Spence. I also understand that Errol Spence, with his basic abilities, have been able to defeat a lot of people that would likely have better skill sets than him. His persistence, his grit, his power, his output has always helped him overcome those fights, all right, and get the better of them. He's been the guy to break bones. He's been the guy to destroy orbitals. He's the one who makes people quit. And if you're going to tell me that you don't see, and I'm just saying this because I also like to look at things realistically, that was not the Errol Spence that we know of.
Yes,
Now,
it was.
everybody else, well, then that was not the Terrence Crawford that we've always seen. Because I
Yes, it
just
was.
told you, you've never seen that before. You've never seen that before. Never seen that before. Tell me when you've seen that before. You've never seen it. Not with Gamboa. Not with Jose Benavides. Not with Kabelovskis. Not with Postol. You've never seen it. So tell me when he's ever destroyed a dude like that. He stops him, takes him to the body, hits him with a
Bud
jab, stops him with a
Crawford has
whatever.
always
He
pretty
never
much.
puts on devastating physical deformities on the fighter. Now, what I'm trying to say is this: every point that you said is absolutely right. Uh, the 147, if it doesn't take place at 147, he's never getting his belts. Uh, he's never gonna get that W back. Well, guess what? Uh, that's the reality of the sport. Once you lose, a lot of the time, a lot of the fighters start to take on this courage to fight anybody because they've already lost. Where a lot of fighters like to protect their O, once you lose it, you take on the harder fights. And you're, I think that Errol Spence has outgrown 147. He probably should have moved up a long time ago. I also believe that Errol Spence, like Terrence Crawford, are men of their word. And you said that the reason why Errol Spence left Terrence Crawford for the end was because he knew that this was going to happen. Bullshit. I think the reason why it's the last guy is because his handlers said he was going to never even fight him because they already had men lined up for him. Who made that fight happen? Errol Spence. Terence Crawford admitted it. So he was only left at the end because his handlers kept forcing those fights until the end. That's
No,
simple as that.
it's
That's
because
simple as that.
Errol, check this out. When they first met, okay, let me ask you because there's three questions that you posed there. One, I'm gonna go back with the last one because it's much more in the moment. Errol Spence didn't speak with his handlers and then they paved, oh, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna clear this side of the street. No, Errol coined all that stuff. He's his own man. He answers to himself. He stuck to his guns throughout the whole career, and even that moment in that particular night when he told Bud Crawford, "I'm gonna fight first. These guys first. I'm gonna take the easier route. Why wouldn't I?" These handlers didn't tell him to say those things. Errol is a thinking man. He can think for himself. He spoke everything into existence. Like you said, who made the fight happen? Errol did. Even Bud Crawford alluded to. Errol was also the same man who put a halt to that back in 2018 when they first met. Okay, Errol wanted to clear his side first and then fight Bud. His handlers didn't give him that notion. Errol did it to himself. That's one. Two, you said, tell me when you've ever seen Bud or Crawford. When you told me you said Spence ever looked that bad or when Bud Crawford ever looked that great. Every single time you mentioned Benavidez and all these other fights, once Terence Crawford lands that punch that changes the outcome of the fight, Bud Crawford is the greatest finisher. Okay? He did it with Victor
Yep.
Bosco, like 3-4 times, dropped him. He did it with Gamboa. It was competitive. He got hit. He got wobbled. But what happened when Terence Crawford landed his punch? It was over. He did the same thing to Julius Ndongo. Utter domination. Hit him
I'm
with a
talking
body
about
shot,
destruction.
bruising. The dude just fell down, never got up. Look at the destruction that he gave Jeff Horn. Look what happened after he did, and he landed a couple of punches on Sean Porter. Finished him.
I'm not talking about being a finisher. I'm talking about being a destructive force. And he's never destroyed a fighter like he did Spence. You know this. You know this.
Once he got dropped by Mean Machine and he started getting his get back, what did he do? He made him quit. He knocked him out.
But you're ignoring what I'm saying. I'm not saying he does. I'm not saying he's not the greatest finisher.
Hold on. Now, to answer your question, when
Destructive.
has he ever looked that dominant in the way he did with Errol Spence? Well, here's the moment. It takes two to tango. I'm not saying Bud didn't work extremely hard in the other fights, but the stars aligned for Bud to shine bright under those conditions. And those conditions were this as followed. Bud grew up into the welterweight division. He gained a shit ton of muscle. You see, he looked pretty small against Jeff Horn. But
and another thing,
better, his muscles and his weight started to develop properly at 147. But in the other fights, he was cutting down a shit ton of weight. Now he doesn't have that factor.
And another thing,
vice versa with Errol, conversely, he had to cut too much and he was inactive.
Yes.
But if you go look at the signs, he looked fucking terrible against Yordenis Ugas. In fact, Yordenis Ugas also looked very stupid because in the midst of knocking out that mouthpiece off Errol's mouth, he kind of gave him a moment to recover, right? And then when Errol started getting his senses back in the next round or 2 rounds after, Ugas dumbass just stayed there and Errol popped like 6
But didn't you? Yeah, but didn't you say one thing?
He just popped 6 uppercuts in a row without any lateral movement until that eye started to get shut. Then he
Let's not distract ourselves on the trivialities. Yeah, let's not distract ourselves on the trivial things, giving those little tidbit examples to justify one's opinion. What I'm trying to say is this: didn't you just say?
In what manner, bro?
Didn't you say though? Didn't you say that the stars aligned because Bud Crawford,
finally grew up into,
and the other guy finally grew it. Wait, but then you also said the other you also said the other part, which is that Errol Spence outgrew that division. You said that.
I didn't say that. I said he was inactive.
Yeah, no, you said the stars aligned because Bud Crawford fit into his shoes at 147, great, and the other one was already looking shabby, having now grown that division and looking bad as a result the fights prior to that. That's what you said. So if that's the case, then giving him 7 pounds up, to not have to fight at 147 is exactly the kind of chance that Errol Spence says to give himself if you even believe slightly.
How is that trivial?
No. That's not what I'm saying. Trivial. The trivial things. No, the trivial things is that you wanted to distract yourself about how the little punches that Ugas threw, 6 uppercuts in a row. Those are little distractions. What I'm trying to get at is the gist of the matter, which is
No,
if you're
no. The
trying to
gist of
say
the matter. See, I don't think you remember. Hold on.
no, no, okay, answer that call. Okay, so let's flip this issue into a positive. Testoror, 154 is where most people think this fight will take place, but I heard that Terrence Crawford, if I'm not mistaken, Terrence Crawford has dibs at saying what weight class that rematch take place. Now, if that's the case, theoretically, Terrence Crawford can say the rematch has to be done at 147. He could theoretically say that. If that's the case, that would be the killjoy for the fight. Why? Because I believe Errol Spence, with his outside the sport activities and the fact that he doesn't live a fighter's lifestyle, has made him prone to outgrowing that weight. So the only chance is to go to 154 or like I think Timothy Bradley once said to maybe even 160. But nonetheless, I think he's outgrown that weight. And if Terrence Crawford is firm and adamant that the fight takes place at 147, there will not be a rematch if that's the truth. Now, that's the good part about it. Nobody's really addressing that. Now, the other good thing about this fight, if Terrence Crawford says, you know what, I don't even care what weight class it takes place because I don't have to defend 147 because I'm already undisputed, because he really doesn't want to defend. If he wanted to defend, he could stay down there and fight Boots and fight
Listen,
Stanionis and anybody. But he obviously wants to go for the big money fights. The thing is this: if both of them gentlemen agree to fight at 154, then this whole talk about Terence Crawford and BS fight with Saul Alvarez is thrown out the window, because now we're relying on the outcomes of two different fights that might bifurcate their destinies, so that Terence Crawford does not have to fight Alvarez. And why do I don't?
oh, hold
Why is
on.
it that I
That
don't
right
want to
there
see
is
that? Is
trivial.
because I
That right
think it's
there is of
BS.
little significance. Listen to me.
See,
You
I was
said
just talking and you
when have you
interrupted. Just
when
notice, just letting you know.
no, hold on. You had
Mm,
said first before I got someone called me on the phone right now. You were saying that when have you ever seen Errol this bad and Bud Crawford ever that good? And you were saying, oh, that's trivial. Ugas, no. What I'm trying to give
no,
you
that's not what I
is
said was
point.
trivial.
That's what you
Ugas
said
was trivial.
because
I
then you
said
were
Ugas
hold
throwing six punches is
on.
trivial.
Listen, Ugas was beating Errol Spence until he wasn't. Kell Brook was up on the cards against Errol until he wasn't. Same thing with Sean Porter. It was very close until the knockdown. In those three championship fights, Errol was losing until he wasn't. Bud is Errol's exploit. You see, those three other champions couldn't capitalize on Errol's flaws. Bud Crawford was the only one able to. You said he outgrew the welterweight division. Had Errol Spence fought Keith Thurman at 147 and taken that tune-up, he would have beaten Keith Thurman to the body.
We
Errol
don't know
landed.
that.
Whoa, listen, come on.
But why are you
Errol
saying
landed
that with a certainty if you don't know that?
Errol landed a few shots on Bud. Had he landed those on Thurman, Thurman is not able to do what Bud Crawford can do. All right, Thurman is weak to the body. He doesn't stand and
Exactly.
counter and catch and shoot, but Bud does. Bud also has longer arms. Keith Thurman is
You
shorter.
remember? You remember
He would have
Collazo?
beaten any other
No.
welterweight except probably Boots and Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford is just that dude. Check this out. Even Derrick James refuses and is arrogant. And when they ask him the question, he still says that he has the better fighter in Errol Spence. Bro, how stupid can you be? How ignorant and pompous and arrogant can you be? Bro, did you not just see what the whole world witnessed? How are you the better? How do you have the better fucking fighter? In what world? See, this is a deformed psyche, a deformed mentality, a stupid way of thinking. Errol's people don't have Errol's best interest at heart. Because a redemption doesn't mean an immediate rematch. It means a rematch later down the road, but not immediate. My contention is this. Don't take the immediate rematch. Do ask for the Bud Crawford fight later down the road, but take a tune-up in between. Because you propose, oh, he should fight Castaño or Tim Tszyu. Nope. Fight somebody of not at that level. You're not ready for that level. I don't know if you can beat those guys. When you move up in weight class, you don't fight the straight champion, especially if you're coming off a defeat. You get back into your winning ways. He's making all the mistakes all over again. Again, going back to my original point of the whole podcast. He doesn't learn from his lessons. He's arrogant, and it'll cost him.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I don't disagree with that. I'm just trying to say, you're applying, you're not giving him the responsibilities as an individual to move freely as a free and sovereign individual. And you're trying to say that everybody around him is the one at fault for him trying to avenge his loss and trying to pick himself up after defeat. Because to tell you the honest truth, the next fight is not going to sell as well. So he can take a softer fight that doesn't have to subject him to the kind of pain for likely the similar amount of money. Because I told you from the beginning, I told you,
sell much more.
let me cook though, bro. Come on. You don't like it when they interrupt you, right? I mean, so why do you do it? But why do you do it? Listen, relax. You already cooked. All right. There's this fight is not going to sell well, and he must know that. I'm sure that his advisors told him it's not going to sell well. Nobody ever pays for a dominant a fight ever. In fact, the only reason why Maidana, the only reason why Maidana and Mayweather and all the rematches that Mayweather had sold well afterwards is because of the impression that they were closely fought. But this is not that. So this is going to be a bust, and anybody must surely look him in the eyeball and tell him this is not going to sell well. And you can take another fight. Will probably pay a little bit less, but it'll be less harm on you, and you'll still have an opportunity to go on and prolong your career. And this is what I imagine is Errol Spence's answer. I do not want to walk away knowing a man can beat me. I'm not here to be beaten. I'm here to be the best, and I'm never gonna give up. I have to fight him right now that I have a chance. I don't know if my next fight is gonna be my last one, but I have one more chance to redeem myself and see if I can win. He's betting on himself. He has true belief of his own, and I can't question that. And the only thing I'm telling you is I understand it. Am I going to pay for it? No, unless the card is stacked. But I'm not justifying it either. I'm just letting you know it's a winner's mentality. It's a winner's mentality, though.
Listen, and it's not a winner's mentality or a loser's mentality. No, it's called bravery. Errol Spence is brave. But here it goes. There's an adage in boxing.
It could be both.
It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's your comeback. It's how you get back up. How you get back up or your comeback, your road to redemption is very important. See, there's a lot of people that put their hand over the stove. And then what happens when it gets too hot? Wait, that shit's fucking hot. Then there's other people that, oh, it's mind over matter. And they have their hand and they're able to harness the power of heat, right? And then there's other people that are fucking stupid that put their hand over heat and leave it there until their hand fucking burns. That's Errol Spence. He's gotten out of line too many times in life. He's a brave guy. Dude, I'm a fan of him. I want the rematch versus Bud. I don't want it next. I don't want it out next at 154. I don't want it next at 160. I don't want no at 175. You guys don't cut no weight. I just don't want it next. That's the problem. A comeback is the road. You got to appreciate the road and do the proper steps of building blocks, especially when the fucking towers are dropped. You don't try to replicate them all over again. It's step by step, floor by floor. Spence is taking shortcuts like he arrogantly says that he gets out of line. This is out of line again. Okay. Now to your point, oh, it's going to do worse because a lot of people aren't going to buy it. Quite the contrary. It's going to even sell much more because there's a lot of narratives that you can spin, right? Like Fox News. There's the whole spin zone. Oh, he was dehydrated. This time I'm gonna be stronger, guys. Look at my cheekbones. You don't see them sucked in anymore. You know, I was bigger. I'm gonna learn from my experience. X, Y, and Z. Da da da. There's so many ways you can sell the fucking rematch. More people know. In fact, a lot of people are interested, and there's a lot of intrigue, like it was 5 years ago when they first met in 2018 in Nebraska when Maurice Hooker fought Alex Cholo Saucedo. There's a lot of intrigue how it was then, like it is now. They're much more popular.
Would
In
you
fact, this time
wager
they won't
anything on that?
sell 500 pay-per-view buys. In the rematch, they might sell 750,
Do
850, close to
would
a million.
you place some money to wager on that? I'll take you on a bet that it won't sell.
I don't
Proof
care
is in
to
the
wager
pudding,
on
buddy.
it.
If you're so certain, I'm certain that they won't sell 600 doll or whatever it is that they sold. And you're thinking that it'll sell more. I am willing to wager money. Let's do a friendly bet. Let's
Okay,
throw
what's your
100 bucks
price?
on it.
What's your price?
$100. Let's just start there.
You got a deal.
Alrighty then.
Remember,
Look,
just
look,
remember, I don't lose my deals. In fact, when I listen to you, I'm actually short $5,000 into my pocket.
look.
I just want you to
Here's my
remember.
handshake. Here's my handshake. Oh, anyways, by the way, I've noticed that when you and Drew describe what that hand gesture is, that is the Vulcan salute, made famous by first lieutenant uh, of the USS Enterprise, Spock. That is not peace. It's live long and prosper. Um, Not too sure if you know this, but when the pandemic was in full effect, uh, President, uh, the Congress decided to pass the hand gesture of the Vulcans, because Spock is a Vulcan, uh, to say hello to people and to wish them the best instead of shaking hands because they wanted to, you know, limit physical contact. They passed this. I don't know if it was just whatever they call it, a proposition or whatever, but they recognized the hand gesture of the split hand made into two units of two digits and one separated thumb as the live long and prosper, to say hello to people and to wish them good health to try and survive those dangerous times of COVID-19. But so it means live long and prosper, not a peace. Now, homie Ricky, look, I agree with you, man. Uh, I hate the idea of a rematch. I don't an immediate rematch. I don't think this is the best fight for Errol Spence. Um, but I like to make lemonade out of lemons, and I think should this fight proceed, because again, remember, I think there might be uh, an ability to prohibit this fight should Terence Crawford stand adamantly that he has to defend at 147 for undisputed. Take it or leave it. I believe he has that outing, that out, or at least that joker in his pocket. If that's the case, then that rematch will not happen, which I think is good. But if this rematch happens, maybe Terence Crawford says, you know what? I like how I feel at 154. You know what? Let me see what Tim Sue can do. Let me see what Mendoza and Fedora are about. Because the other fight that I'm not interested in is Canelo versus Crawford at this moment. Without any kind of acclimation or preparation fights, I don't see how that is anything else besides a cash cow. So right there, I'm officially saying that uh, that I think there might be some lemonade should this fight happen. That's all I'm trying to say.
Listen, man. You said that you agree with me, bro. No, we don't. You just betted me $100. about pretty much
No, man, I'm good.
every agreements that we've had this whole
I'm okay,
podcast.
dude. I'm okay.
No, I bet you $100 that it won't sell as well. That's it. But I
No,
agree
but
that
that's
they
basically what
shouldn't.
I'm
That
trying to tell
Spence
you. That
shouldn't
like
take this
we've
fight.
been disagreeing the whole time. There's no point that we agree other than the point that there shouldn't be an immediate rematch. Look,
Well, they, yeah,
you're gonna
yeah,
say
they shouldn't.
something, Mr. Roar? Roar.
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 I think I saw. I think I saw Tista Roar and his buddy cooking dogs, and there was hot dogs, and then there was real dogs. So I'm not too sure if he turned off the camera so that he can start slicing up one of them dogs to throw him in the Barbie. Tista Roar, are you cooking a live dog?
No, he might have been bad internet connection. Look, man, Errol Spence said something on Twitter a while
Hmm.
back on April. He said,
Yeah, what do you say?
"You ninjas scary. Who raised you? You decide to get chased home from school as ninjas." That's what he said, right?
Hmm.
Again,
Yeah,
I think he said
scary.
something
You're
similar
scary for
on
him.
he said something similar on his IG when he survived the car wreck. He said something amongst those lines. I forgot exactly what the words, the phrases were. But again, it's his arrogance, right? He's brave to walk into a situation knowing that he's going to lose. That's pretty much the definition. Sister Roar says, I lost connection to my earphones. My bad. All right, what about now? Are you back on?
For
Roar.
Rosa.
I see that you're pressing the unmic mic button, but I can't hear anything you're saying, bro.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Yo,
Yo. Hello.
we can hear
Tista
you.
Roar. Tista Roar.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hear me?
Tista Roar. Were you cooking those
There you go.
dogs?
Can you hear me? You guys
Yeah.
can hear me?
Hey,
All right, good.
yeah, we could hear you.
Yeah, I just gotta
Hey,
fuck around
were
because I'm
you?
doing it.
Yeah, but
Yeah, what's
were you in? Are you killing a dog to barbecue them? Because I saw dogs and there
yeah.
was a fire.
No, the barbecue's for them, bro.
Oh,
Nah, we eat cup of
man,
noodles in
good
this house,
times.
bro. We
In
we
this
we
economy,
we're
you have
vegans over here. We're vegan over here, bro. We eat cup of noodles, like sprouts, shit like that. Good food.
like a true Californio.
Yeah, these are our wolves, bro. Got to keep them healthy so you could keep the skunks out of the backyard,
Yeah,
and fucking possums or whatever they got to fight out here.
that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Nah. These little dogs, they do the trick, man. They let you know when there's intruders, possums, whatever.
Hmm.
We live real close to some fields over here, so we'll get possums, we'll get skunks. Skunks has been the most recent one, so yeah, you'd be surprised, man. You drive around Salinas, you smell skunks out there, man. There's some roadkill out there. So yeah, but no, sorry, I was halfway eating, halfway listening to everything. But yeah, just so I could get some feedback into the conversation. I remember you guys talking about, you know, Thurman's weak ass body. I remember I was trying to say, oh yeah, Luis Colosso, that fight straight up exposed Thurman. I remember Colosso digging into the body, and Thurman was like, oh, that was a good shot, and Colosso was like, yeah, nah, I'm gonna fuck you up now. That
Hmm.
was that was a good fight, man. One of Colosso's last good fights, actually. I really enjoyed that shit. But I mean, I would like to see the rematch. Fuck it, why not? It's a redemption story. They have a background to it. They have a storyline to it. You know, and this is Earl's chance to really get his lick backs, man. Get his respect. Show the world that it wasn't just a one-sided ass whooping. And who knows? Maybe he fucking he gives a two-time ass whooping. Who knows? Or maybe he figures out, can't do this shit with this guy. I gotta fucking fight him this way or that way or whatever. But yeah, show the world it wasn't a fluke, or it was a fluke, and he could be make it more competitive, with the weight, uh, favoring him, quote unquote, favoring him this time around. I mean, there shouldn't be any excuses again, but yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe that car accident really took a lot out of him. Like, who really knows? I definitely didn't see him like making excuses like other boxers. So, my respects to Earl, though. He's a fan favorite.
Yeah, he's actually my favorite. He's actually my favorite 147 fighter at the moment. Um, you
Ooh.
know, Errol Spence.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So no, I was just thinking. It just depends on the individual, right? I remember a young fighter. We have these fights here locally in Salinas, local gyms. You go over there, pay a couple of bucks. They'll serve you some food, and you get to watch 17, 20 fights, right? Good ambiance. You get to get the best seat in the house for cheap and food, right? So we always go to those. And this one fighter, very first fight, I knew this guy, you know, growing up as a kid. Uh, very ambitious, very ambitious. Was taking on his first fight. He just barely turned into an adult. He was carrying on a job. He was going basically full time student, uh, and I think full time worker, and he was still hitting the gym. Right, he was doing all of these things, and he became strong, and he became fast, and he taught himself how to box. Nobody, I'm telling you, Tisseror, nobody taught him how to fight. This is how he taught himself. He would watch his favorite fighters. He told me this. I believe it. He would watch his favorite fighters: Manny Pacquiao, Mayweather. Uh, he would watch Margarito, uh, Cotto, anybody, and he would analyze and break down the film, their stance, the movements, how they would throw. And it was crazy because when you saw him doing those things, like he goes, look, let me do Cotto. And he would do Cotto and it looked like Cotto's form. Let me do Giovanni Segura, this Mexican, like featherweight, or maybe just 120 pounder, 115 pounder. He would throw these punches. Let me do Pacquiao, and then he would start double skipping and bouncing back and forth and turning southpaw and everything. It was a marvelous thing. He taught himself how to fight, right? And he took on his first fight. The day came of his first fight. So of course we saw that he was going to be dominant because although he had never fought before, we saw that he was better than everybody. And this guy was so good. Check this out. So good that even though he got no formal training, he got the keys to one of the gyms so that he can go in there and train whenever he wanted. Now, this guy didn't pay dues to the gym. He just basically got trust of all the coaches because of his courage, right? Because of the fact that he would be willing to face anybody. When everybody else was, oh, I'm tired, coach, I already sparred or whatever, any new person that would come into the gym, he would spar them. No matter how heavy, how small, he would be fighting everybody, right? And he trusted everybody. Everybody trusted him to do that. And this is how skillful this guy was. I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like that. He could fight any style. He could switch it up on you. He got the trust of the coaches. Uh, anybody needed to spar, he would take it on. People coming in from other cities, he'd fight them no matter what. In just 1 year, right? And then the day of this fight came. and he won the fight. But everything that he'd been doing to before the fight, like the styles and everything, it did not show up in the day of the fight. It's like the day of the fight, the pressure was so overbearing that it affected his performance. And he fought another guy that had never taken a fight before. So they both stepped in 0 and 0 and 0. And he eked out the win. He got the first round. The other guy got the second round. And then the third one was hard fought. But he just eked it by one or so punches. In fact, this is how good of that round was. He, the fighter that I'm referring to, he got hit and he got a standing 8. So that meant that the guy had a lead. He won that round and the knockdown. So this guy had to win the other 2 rounds or something like that. I can't remember. Or maybe I'm imagining that part. Um, or maybe it was a slip or something. But nonetheless, he won that fight. And he was so critical about his performance because he knew better. He knew that that was not him. He knew that he could conquer. He knew that he could destroy this guy. And everybody knew that too. And he wanted to rematch that guy. And the guy who he beat, that guy thought he won, right? And he was so upset. And he told him, listen, because I was there. It was very, you could hear these guys talk. And he said, listen, that was a great fight. But he knew himself that there was a lot of questions left behind. And he saw the face of the other fighter, probably thinking that he was disappointed that he thought he was robbed. And he goes, if you ever want to do it again, let's rematch it. Because he just wanted to do things right. The other guy, in protest and how frustrated he was, he never boxed one day in his life, ever again, after that defeat. He quit. And this fighter that I'm referring to, he felt that he underperformed. And in fact, he wanted to fight that guy again just to prove, one, that I'll be fair to you. If you think you got robbed, I'll be fair to you and give you that shot. And secondly, I know I'll destroy you. And this is not me. A lot of what played on that fight is tantamount and can apply to what occurred in this fight. We don't know the mind state of Errol Spence when he walked in before and after. We just know where his mind state is at now. He wants to prove to the world and to himself that that was a fluke, that that was not him the day that he fought, that maybe the moment was too crushing or whatever, but he believes he's better. I won't hold that against him. I understand it. I'm not too sure I'll pay for it though.
That's a great story, Speed. Sounds like a very similar story that I know of. Just to read a little bit of comments on the panel, Mr. Vince says, "Ding ding, rematches should be for draws." Someone said, or maybe split decisions. I know money talks. Jack, the Kodo fan, says, "Salute." Salute to you, Mr. Jack. I feel this is Errol retirement check. Yeah, I agree as well. I think it's an early retirement. And these aren't the proper steps to going about avenging or writing or rewriting history. Look, man, again, we're all Errol Spence fans here. For the majority of all of us, we'd all pay for his pay-per-views.
I'm
Again,
not.
Who's this? Is this Drew?
Man, listen. Did you see Errol versus Bud?
What was that?
You saw Errol versus Bud, right?
Yeah.
All right. You're a fan.
Yeah.
You were a fan for that night. Now, you might have been rooting against him, but you were as a fan for that night because it was amazing entertainment, or at least a one-sided beatdown entertainment, kind of like what the Eagles did to our Niners. And we basically, we were Brock Purdy. We were like Errol Spence, where we didn't have a fighting chance. Look, man, I like a rematch. But again, just like anything in life, the time has to be right. And this is not the time for it. You see, going back to a few comments, I was able to find what Errol said. The first message he said after surviving his car wreck. He goes, and he deleted his IG post because it probably wasn't received well, or people weren't, gravitating towards this fortunate moment of him continuing to live his life, right? He goes, "No broken bones. I'm a savage." This is the first thing Errol Spence said, and then his story on Instagram was soon later deleted, right? No broken bones. I'm a savage. After about a week or so of reading all the comments and just getting a taste of the wind and how the wind is blowing and stuff, Errol responded, "You ninjas are scary. Who raised you? You're the type to get chased home from school type ninjas." All right. It's again going back to the whole leitmotif of this whole podcast. Errol does not learn his lesson. All right. Honestly, if you go look at his IG and when he was producing the Big Fish shirts, right? He had the Grim Reaper, he had the handshake, he had blood being spilled after every next hotel room door, right? First they had Kell Brook, blood spill. Then it had Sean Porter, blood spill. Ugas, blood spill. Then there was like the Grim Reaper with the big fish, right? And his staff shaking hands, or maybe there's some oogling eyes of Bud Crawford. Basically, Bud is the Grim Reaper for Errol Spence's life. Because the only thing is Spence fails to admit it. He doesn't want to acknowledge it. All right. He's brave, man. Everybody knows he's brave. Again, I want to see a rematch, but the timing of it has to be correct. All right. Maybe Stephen Fulton can rematch Naoya Inoue, but I think everybody in this whole world would agree simply not next. Go fight MJ Akmadalia. Go rematch Brandon Figueroa, which fights are close on your resume, and then get back into your winning ways. Then, if you're still standing and the last man or a couple last men still standing, then go fight Naoya Inoue. Same thing with Oscar Valdez. I don't know if Oscar Valdez, Errol Spence, Ryan Garcia, or Stephen Fulton are top 5 fighters and are deserving of a championship bout all over again. I don't know that because based on their last performances, bro, not only was that severe ass beating, it's also a lack of confidence to get that shit back. We also
Yeah.
saw this when Wilder fucking destroyed. When Tyson Fury destroyed Wilder in the second match. What happened to Fury? He gained a bunch of weight and he looked lethargic in the immediate rematch for the third time. You know why? Because he wasn't training for it. He wasn't up to give Wilder another third fight, but contractually he was obligated to do so. Now, being the consummate pro and not the drug addict that Tyson Fury is to Bud. Bud is a constant pro. He lives that disciplined life. He didn't balloon up to 350 pounds. He doesn't retire for 2 years. He didn't fail drug tests. No, that's not going to happen to Bud. He's going to be motivated because he doesn't want people to, or even Spence to have an idea or be even a symbolic spirit, like, oh no, at least he did better this time. No, I'm pretty sure Bud even wants to end it even quicker.
Yeah, I think it's not gonna the second fight's not gonna end that well, bro. Like it's gonna be a fucking blowout, bro. Like you're just gonna get a Bud that punches harder, and you're just gonna get the same style fighter that beat you the first time around.
Absolutely, I agree. Spence is going to feel a little more stronger than he did at 147, but guess what? That's going to work against him because he's going to look into more punches. See, in the first couple of rounds, he was feeling out Bud. He was throwing the jab. This time, he ain't going to do that because Bud knows already he can take it away. So Spence is going to be a little more reckless, and he's going to be like, you know what? I can't outbox this dude. This dude is stronger, but guess what? I have a puncher's chance. He's going to swing for the fences. The fight won't go past. It'll be under 5 rounds. Jack says, Errol said weeks after the car accident, he could have retired then and there. He said he had a couple of years left. And I feel this is Errol's last fight.
Man, I don't feel like he had
enough.
enough.
Got to say to that.
It looked like he needed to retire after that fight, man. Because honestly, he made Bud look like a fucking superstar, bro. Like, I think he doesn't hang with the top dogs, bro. Like he's just, I don't know, his just reflexes ain't there anymore. He doesn't look completely different, but you could tell he's a little altered, a little bit, and his face kind of gets all puffy, like it looks different now after fights. It just doesn't look like a healthy Spence.
But
But
what would it say about him, guys? Come on, Drew,
but this is the
homie
thing.
Ricky. If he retired after his first loss, when was the last time you recall a champion who was one fight away from undisputed or any type of unification, being so dominant for so long of a time? He takes his first loss and he retires.
Look, man,
When
not too many people make a lot of money like Spence did, but he's just trying to pretty much squeeze out the lemon out, get enough juice out the lemon, Like he's just I know like this is he got paid in all-time earnings, this year, and he's just trying to get a little bit of it again. I don't think it does as great as far as like sales the second time around, but you know, if shoot, I mean, they better stack up that undercard, But I don't know. We'll see.
I
Because
just think it would look so bad, and he would take so much criticism
well,
from
at this point, it's
everybody.
gonna happen. At this point, it's gonna happen already.
Well, not if he
So
fights one more time, though. If he fights one more time, then guess what? If he loses the second time, at least now it's justified because he lost twice in a row, and now we know there's no excuses. He's a sharp fighter. But
oh,
if he,
yeah, what I'm trying to say is the beatdown's gonna happen regardless. you
oh
know,
yeah, yeah, well,
you know,
I agree with that.
yeah.
Well, going back into your guys' notion of a stacked undercard, this undercard that they had, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was a pretty good fucking undercard. You had
It was
Nonito
great.
Donaire versus Santiago. Santiago was a
Uh,
big fan of Nonito. He was able to beat Nonito. Nonito,
yeah,
unfortunately, looked very old, and he was just relying on the big one punch to come that never came. And if it did come, Santiago took it well. Then there was also the co-main was Pitbull Cruz versus Giovanni Cabrera, a very interesting stylistic mismatch if you ask me, for
Mhm,
Pitbull, even though he won, because you're
mhm,
fighting a dude that's like 6 inches taller than you.
mhm.
And Cabrero didn't really come to fight. He just came to essentially survive, but box from the outside. And to whatever you guys want to say, maybe he made
He
his
did. He
argument
did do
or
some.
not. But
He did some good things in there
and
against.
then there was I think a Dominican Tellez. He knocked the block off Sergio Garcia, a Spaniard, and it was really interesting.
Mhm.
Jack says it was just the loss, but the car accidents, the drugs, and the alcohol and the eye injury. It is very difficult for Errol to keep going after that, especially after that ass beating. Yeah, I agree. Speeder applies to brave and resilient for his own good. All right, Drew, you said something very interesting, and the reason I want to bring it up is because me and Speed have $100 bet,
A
right?
what?
$100 wager. He said, and you said, man, it's going to be difficult for the second fight to sell. So you're siding on Speed side. You don't think this promotion and what we just witnessed,
Well, that's
the
but
rematch is going to sell more?
uh, it, I, that, I mean, it just depends honestly, because that Canelo fight got intriguing. Oh, the Canelo Charlo fight got intriguing once they gave us the undercard, the stacked undercard. That's what made me interested. You know,
So you're
because
saying
at
you're
this point
only
we
interested for Canelo versus Jermell Charlo, not because it's two undisputed guys to ever fight, let alone that's the first time in history in the
that's part
Cordell
of it.
era.
That's
But
part
you
of
were
it.
more excited of the undercard that brought you the appeal of that whole situation, because it is a
That's
great
part of
undercard.
it. That's part of it, bro. That's a good fight regardless. But
But you
I
weren't up
forget.
for it until the undercard.
Yeah, no, the Canelo fight sells regardless. That to me, I want to see that fight. But I'm just saying the Spence Crawford. I mean, or no, which one was I saying? Oh yeah, yeah. That one, that fight. I mean, it just we know the results. To the fight. So I mean, now it kind of made me want to watch the undercard because we don't know the results of those fights. I mean, we kind of do, but we're curious now to watch the undercard now. So that's just me.
Hmm. Roar, what you got to say to that, man? You think you there, brother?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I personally like the fight. I like, Canelo Charlo. Something different. They say, oh, Canelo doesn't fight, African American fighters, blah blah blah. He's been ducking all these African American fighters. I like it. I personally like it. I like their style. I like how Charlo fights. I mean, he's aggressive when he has to. He's more skilled than what they give him credit for, I think. You know, I was just watching a video on how he throws his left hook, how he does body shots, how he moves. You know, what do you call it? Like the shovel punch? You know, uppercuts, that left uppercut. You know, shovel. Um, yeah, like I mean, I personally didn't see that from Charlo until I saw it. I was like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, definitely, I I like that fight. I think Canelo's gonna rock his ass, but it's not gonna be an easy fight for Canelo either. Don't you know? The undercard, you know, undercard like you said, a stack. Who's in the undercard? Was it Mario Barrios? Who's he's fighting?
Yeah, Mario Barrios versus Ugas.
Ugas.
You have
I
Erickson
I
Rubin
think
versus Jesus
yeah.
Ramos, and then there's you have Elijah Garcia versus I think Armando Resendez. Armando Resendez is the guy that just
Okay,
beat and upset Jarrett Hurd at middleweight. So it's an amazing
that's
card of prospects, contenders, guys that are looking to rebound from a loss.
mhm,
And then you
mhm.
have Jesus Ramos at the age of 22. Is it going to be history in terms of, or is it going to be history repeating itself when Lubin was in the same position that Jesus Ramos is in when Lubin
Oh
fought,
yeah.
and got knocked out? Is it going to be something similar to that? Who knows? And then, of course, like you said, you guys have, Miguel Cotto. I mean, sorry, Canelo Alvarez versus Jermel Charlo.
Jamel. Yeah, I mean the one guy that I could I kind of know a little bit more about is obviously Bills. You know, I think they're just throwing this guy into the fire, man. They're throwing him against these top oppositions that he's not taking a step down. He's just if not staying at the same level, fighting dangerous fighters. And I mean, I feel they're gonna give him a journeyman fucking he's gonna end up being a journeyman or a stepping stone for these other fighters down the line just 'cause they're giving him top opposition, man. I don't know. I mean, he feels ready for these guys. He likes the challenge. I don't know what it is, but I personally, as much as I want to see it, I don't want to see it. I think he's gonna get an ass whooping. I mean, that's just my
Damn.
opinion. I
Yeah.
mean, Barrios is he's a little bit taller than Ugas, but Ugas, I like the way he fought Errol Spence. I saw a lot of, a lot of his tricks, man. And this guy is crafty, man. This guy is definitely crafty.
An
I
Olympian.
mean, Barrios is,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I like
Cuban,
Mario.
right?
He's very brave, but again, you just got knocked out by Tim Davis at 140. Then you move up and fight Keith
Mhm.
Thurman at 147. Bro, if you want to make an everlasting career, you don't go fight Tank and then Keith Thurman, and then you go fight Ugas. Bro, you got to have a soft touch in between. Like you're in
I
a
it,
losing streak.
Yeah,
Getting
he's not
knocked
gonna.
out
I
in
agree.
Thurman fight, even though he didn't drop you, he made you look like a blue avatar. There was no bridge of your
Uh
nose.
huh.
It was forehead, nose. It was just all flat. Y'all remember that?
Yep.
Let me pull up a picture.
Well, I mean, like I said, that's
He's
the
not
guy.
gonna.
That I don't know. I think they're making him up to be a fucking, like a journeyman for whatever
Yeah.
reason, whatever that they just see. Oh, Mario Barrios, he's a big draw for the Mexican crowd. Let's throw him in there. Let's throw him in the mix. Ugas needs to fight. Who wants to fight Ugas? Not everybody raises their hand unless they, they kind of know the caliber of, Errol Spence and like, I think I'll take it in. Yeah, whatever. You know, definitely my respect for Barrios, but he's there to fight, man. He's there to fight all the top opposition. Um, kind of reminds me of Robert Guerrero. He goes against anybody. He's not scared. He's, not in the aspect that he lost, but the aspect that he's like, yo, I'm here to fight. I'm here to fight top opposition. I want nothing but the best. Give me everybody. Give me, your Danny Garcias. Give me your most dangerous fighter at the time. I don't care. I'm here to prove myself.
Yeah, Mario Barrios. What are you showing us, Ish? Or Ricky? Whoa,
The
Avatar. What?
Avatar.
Whoa,
Look at the
Woo.
nose, man.
Yeah, it's even
whoa.
sideways.
Oh, okay, I see
Sideways, boy.
that.
What I'm saying is Barrios has to make a career.
Wow, is that real or is that photoshopped?
Going going back to what Jack was saying is, yeah, this is his retirement. Same thing with Barrios. It's like, bro, you trying to make a career? You trying to become a champion? Or are you just selling your booty and looking to retire?
I think no. Okay, look. I think what he's
Look
actually
at this.
doing, in a sense, he is
He's
selling his
gorgeous, by the
booty.
way.
In a sense, he is selling his booty because he's using all that fame that he got from fucking fighting Tank, and he's just trying to have an easier way in, and he's just trying to use his name and likeness now because he's actually tall enough to fight these dudes. But in reality, he just not. I don't know. He's just not strong enough for these dudes. He can fight like a lower level welterweight though. You know.
Check this out. He is strong enough because he hit and hurt Keith Thurman to the body. We know
Did he?
Thurman's a little suspect to the body. The problem is you're not going about the right proper steps in building or setting yourself up for
Or
success.
resume.
Same thing with Errol Spence. Could he do better versus Bud in the rematch? Sure, you can. But you're setting yourself up for failure because of what we mentioned earlier, right? When you get knocked down or you get beat, you got to take the other fighter's confidence while trying to regain yours. Because what's going to happen next is that dude is filled with confidence. He's going to blitz and go on a tirade of punches and throw it up against you. So, again, not to repeat myself or anything, but you're not going the proper way to getting this rematch and for you to win in your winning ways. Again, it is a retirement. The way I like to put it is death sentence, right? And Speed was saying, well, you know, you got to feed his family and pay off the ranches. Well, you did that in the first fight. Like, you should not be starving for money. Go get your mega fights. But it isn't with Bud. That's your death sentence. It's not a mega fight.
Yeah, no, he made his an all-time earnings, you know, with the Crawford fight, but I think he just trying to. I think what it is, I think you know, he obviously has to accept or give what is it? Activate the rematch clause, and then Crawford has no choice, right? Or does he have to approve anything? Or how does it work?
Damn, my bad. I was scooping up some ice and putting it in my canteen.
Oh no. So I was asking, Spence activates the rematch clause, and then Crawford has to approve anything else, or it just does he have a choice?
I don't know. I think Crawford could walk away,
Oh, okay.
right? But if you're Crawford, why would you? That's an easy money grab.
Yeah, easy money.
Right? Like, easy money. It's like, bro, like, but again, even if I'm Crawford, I have an ego about myself and be like, you know what, bro? I don't want you to get a get back. God damn, bro. I guess there's a fucking fire because there's this purple haze outside right now. It looks gorgeous. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you said something about my bad. I lost my thought. Yeah,
It's
if
like,
I'm Crawford, I'm like, you know what, bro? I'm letting you marinate in misery. I'm gonna let you marinate in misery and soak and eat your words. If I'm Crawford, I don't let you eradicate that wrongdoing. I let you live it for the rest of your life and walk away. You know what? I'm on to your buddy Jermel Charlo who's talking shit. Hell, I'm on to Canelo. I'm gonna let you marinate in misery. Misery loves company, and I'm not giving you that opportunity to rewrite the wrong. I don't do this shit for money. I do this shit because I'm a legend. That would be some legendary shit. That's like saying the girl that once rejected you, now you made the millions, and she comes back to you, and you know what, bitch? I don't want you, and you walk away.
I was just gonna tell you that, Fabric. You know how you said
Yo,
misery
who's
loves
this
company,
fabric?
and company loves bitches. You know.
Yeah, man. No, I mean that would be some bullshit. Like I think it's like this. We were talking it earlier in the group chat, right? What if Errol had walked away from the Bud Crawford immediate rematch? In fact, that would be much more honorable. That would be pretty fucking brave to do. Because see, what Errol thinks it's an act of bravery and courage to go with the immediate rematch, I would call utterly stupid. In fact, brave would in general just means I'm gonna fight you again, but I'm gonna make sure I'm good when I do, right? While low key thinking I'm gonna wait till Bud gets a little older. I'm still 4 years younger than him. Let me go tune up and fine tune certain things. Let me go work on my defense. Let me go get this confidence back. Let me go get some momentum. In the meanwhile, Bud's getting a little older, whatever. Then I'll rematch him again. But an immediate rematch, like what you think is brave, Errol, I think it's fucking stupid. And I'm a big fan of you, right? So it's everything is up into interpretation. A lot of people, you guys might think, nah, Rick, you're a coward, bro. You never got your ass beat. Listen, when I was young, my best friends, they used to get beat up by the bullies. Remember, I'm a nerdy dude. Still am a nerdy dude, right? They used to get beat. I beat 2 and 3 bullies just to honor my friends. I beat them up and made 2 of them cry. Right? One, just letting you guys know. Once in 4th grade, I fought a 7th grader who got held back. So he was in 6th grade. I beat him up in the backyard of a childhood friend. They knocked to my door. They're like, we're supposed to quote unquote play, football on the street. And then for some reason, he just called me out. I was like, hey man, you want to box? And I was like, he called me out, putting me in the spine. I was like, I got a friend who's got some boxing gloves. We fought in his backyard and I beat the bully. That same bully was dating a girl named Yesenia back in elementary who was so in love with the guy that she had his name written on his shoes and on her body. The day they heard that I beat him up.
Now that's your girlfriend right now.
That wasn't.
No, I'm just kidding.
Chill. You know what I'm saying? Something happened. Check this out. In 2nd grade, right? I had one of my childhood best friends named Giovanni. One of my older brothers had a crush on his mom. Listen, that's just a little detail. It's trivial. Doesn't really matter. But there was another guy named Rick. And he made my friend Gio cry. So what I did during lunch, I pushed him and punched him in his gut. And I told him, don't bully him. To this day, that's still my childhood friend. Not the guy that I made cry, but the guy that I always had his back. And every single time, there was even instances in life when we went on to college or whatever, that they was feeling low. They still wanted like a pat in the back or just for me to write a letter just to pick them up. So what I'm saying is I've been in those situations where I do fight the bully. Maybe not so much like, oh, I'm a fighter. I'm the toughest dude in the block. No, but I am the smartest dude in the block. Not to be cocky or ignorant, but you got to be studious and you got to listen to your elders. And that's one of the things that allows me to say that I'm smart, because I do learn from the others' mistakes. I do live vicariously through them and learn from them. And I kind of put myself in their situation like, this is what I would do. But I just keep it in silence. Errol is too arrogant enough. And he thinks what is brave is going into this immediate rematch. But this is not absolution. This is not, this is his retirement. And he just doesn't know it yet. That's the sad thing about it. Again, like Virgil
can't force him to retire.
Wisdom to get old, right? You got to be wise to get old. And sometimes that means walking away from a gunfight or a battle. Soldiers don't live long lives. And when they do, they're battle scarred. Anyway, keep going, guys.
No, he's not.
Go
ahead.
I think Errol has 1-2 fights left, man. I mean, might as well make it the most, fight that makes sense. He's going to get obliterated or he goes off in the shield. I mean, this, I don't remember this basketball player, but they ask him, hey, now you're retired. It's like, what do you do now? He's like, well, I still watch fucking basketball games. Just that I can't do shit. Like, I'm not happy. Are you happy? He said, no, I'm not happy. I remember, growing up with my dad, he retired from his job. It was a, laborful job. And he wasn't happy being at home. So there you go. The same thing with a boxer. They're going to want to be an announcer. They're going to want to be in the mix. And they're not going to be happy unless, that's the world. You start as a kid. This is what you know. This is what you do. This is your craft. Now your craft, retired. Or it's not taken away. In this case, it could be if, his eye socket is good and, his health is good or not or whatever. But You know, if that's taken away from you and that's all you know, what the hell are you gonna do after retirement? You know, you might have all the money in the world, but you're
Very
not
good
gonna be
point.
happy.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very good point. Give me a second, guys. Yeah.
No, so like I said, this guy has, I think he has 1, 2 fights left in his, in his arsenal. That's it. I mean, he's had a career. He's been champion. You know, he's fought the best. He didn't shy away from nobody. He called everybody out at their time. They didn't want to fight him. He was a boogeyman. You know, it is what it is. He could have had the fights made at an earlier time. It is what it is. So like, I don't know. I think if he has 2 fights left, Keith Thurman, make that his tune-up fight. Then hit up Errol. But he has to beat Keith Thurman. He loses to Keith Thurman, he's on a two fight streak of losing. I mean, I'd go with the easier opposition if I was him. But if it's his last fight, fuck it, go balls out, go get your respect. At least don't lose in that fashion that you lost in. Go out on your shield, but make it home safe. Guard yourself. Make it a boring fight. Get your money. That's it. You're retired. Fuck it.
Yeah, I can't say how many fights Errol has left, because he's still going to be a draw. He's still kind of, the king of Texas, and still a top welterweight. I mean, actually, he's done with the welterweight, so 154, so middleweight, so I think he's still a draw. So who knows? Wouldn't be surprised if he does retire after Crawford. People were actually saying that the Thurman fight almost got made, and then that one went down the drain. So wouldn't be surprised if they revisit that after this rematch. But who knows? I don't know who he can fight after that. I mean, I can see a fight with Virgil. You know, just a quick fight. They're both from Texas. So that could be a good matchup right there since he's moving on up too. Um, and obviously, I don't know if Canelo can fight, would be able to fight him, but obviously he would have to move all the way up to 168 for that. And they say that's a big money fight right there as well. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Who knows how many fights he has left? And then as for Crawford, after this rematch, I can see him fighting Canelo. But then, man, that would be so much money right there to the point where I would think he would actually want to retire after that. That's so much money right there. That's pretty much the best two guys the past 15 years plus.
Start
Going
doing
at it.
exhibitions like Floyd, or
Yeah,
commentating
that'll be
ESPN.
that'll be the biggest fight right there. In a minute, definitely bigger than the Spence fight. But yeah, I think it's Crawford that's the one that will retire sooner. I feel like just because Crawford's been trying to get this money, and I feel like he's just trying to get stable real quick and just leave the game because the way he trains is a lot harder, than Spence, and that's the thing. That's the thing people kind of like that. At first, I guess like that. I know like they probably realize how good Crawford is now, but before they didn't realize how hard Crawford trains. Like this dude trains like like he's in the military or something, and he has a wrestling background, and it kind of fits as far as the cardio sessions that they do, like and the strength and conditioning workouts they do. It's kind of similar, um, but yeah, he kind of has that self discipline, and that's what it's all about, and that's what he has better than Spence. And Spence, will take seasons off. He won't go to the. I heard he gets like really chubby, you know, and he doesn't think about boxing. You know, he has like a second life. You know, Crawford kind of lives that life, so I think that's what separate is gonna separate him. But anyways, Crawford is I could see him retiring sooner. Spence, I can say maybe three or four more fights. You know, including the rematch. So yeah, we'll see, man. There's nothing really much to say because we already know the results, man. It's gonna what's gonna happen, you know. Hopefully, Spence walks out healthy, you know, because I seen the video actually with Virgil Hunter, and he was just pretty much saying, "Don't play with your life, Spence. Don't play with your life," you know. And he's like warning him, man, because it's true, man. You can't really play with your life because it's like, what if you're able to speak one fight and then boom, after a fight, you're slurring your words, and it's like way more noticeable because of that fight. It's like that's what it's all about right there. That's what they're trying to save you from, you know.
Drew, from
Yeah.
what you know, I haven't really seen much videos of them confirming he's been slurring his speech. Have you seen anything on that, or have you, seen any indications
No,
of him
no. If
actually,
any, no, no. If anything, he does look. They say that they claim that he looks high before the fight.
like punch?
You know.
Oh, okay, hi,
Yeah.
or punch drunk, or
Yeah. Pretty much
ah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. You know. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows? You know, that would be a pretty dumb thing to do before a fucking mega fight. Um, you know, who does that? You know, so I kind of doubt it. You know, I think he's
Well,
just
I mean,
exhausted, maybe. You know, from
when it
making
comes to professional sports, and having all that money in place, obviously, with football players, these guys, they don't give a fuck, like this is the top of the cream, cream of the crop. So they have to do whatever they got to do, rehabilitate this guy, take him to the best doctors, give him some stem cells, give him whatever hydrocortisone, all this like steroids or whatnot. Um, I mean, yeah, I I I wouldn't put it past them. They want to get this fighter healthy. They take him to China or where the hell they do. They search the world for all those answers, all those cures or whatever.
yeah,
So
Errol's next fight will be Errol's next fight um after Crawford will be the next biggest bet, his best available bag, pretty much. You know, like whoever's the easiest money, not the easiest money, but the most money. That's who he's gonna go for.
Who? I'm sorry. Who drew? What are you guys referring to?
I think what would be smart would be loser against loser and winner against winner on the Canelo
Oh. Oh.
Charlo,
Okay.
on the Canelo
Yeah.
Charlo and the Spence Crawford, the winner against the winner and the loser against the loser. You know, that's what that would be kind of, I don't know, because they're gonna be fighting at 154 then, you know, and then obviously Canelo and Charlo at 168. But I mean, those guys, right? Those four guys are pretty much one of the best in the world, you know, and
I
only
mean,
few.
I think I'd be down to see a tournament like that Super Six, man. Pop
It
in,
wouldn't be
one of those weight classes, make
it wouldn't be
make a
on
super.
this
Not with
it
these
wouldn't be
guys,
on the
but
same card. It wouldn't be on the same card because that would be
yeah,
like way too much money. That would be like we're talking like pretty much like that's like pretty much AJ Wilder and then Usyk
yeah. Fuck it,
uh
make it a heavyweight. There you go, Super
Usyk
Six
Fury
tournament heavyweight,
type of thing. But
heavyweight edition. There you go.
that was unique because the Arabs or like whoever in the Middle East offered like 500 mil or some shit like that, you know, for all four of them, you know, 500 mil to
Damn.
have out there. But someone would have had to cough up that amount of money, that type of money, for that to even happen. And on top of that, I think they would have to pay even more because those guys are even bigger names. But we're just fantasy talking. Like this is like they would have to pay. They would have to put in like close to a billion, I think, because we're talking. Yeah, yeah, like just fantasy talking. Like Ricky doesn't like this type of talk. That's why. And
I don't like it either.
Yeah, and more speed doesn't make it easy. So yeah, it would be on a different. We'll
Yeah.
talk personally about this. Nah, actually, but yeah, nah. But yeah, I think that's be something cool. But we'll see what happens, man. That's why I can't really call. Like, I don't really know who Spence would fight. You know, like realistically, I don't know who he'd fight. You know, and hopefully he would get enough money in the second fight to just be like, well, fuck it, just I'm gonna try to make something out of this and live his life. You know, because
Mhm.
he's already rich, and just just stop the punishment already. You know.
The one thing that I don't like discussing really, guys, is fantasy fights, just because it's almost like it is a futile attempt at uh, dreaming about things that are outside of our control, right? So I always like to just address the things that are within our control, just because they are a reality. Like, for example, it seems again that this Errol Spence Jr. will be taking on Terrence Crawford, or at least employing that rematch clause. But I think for the most part, we agree that there's probably a better time, if maybe there will never be a good enough time to have that fight once again. But speaking about rematches, there's another one, and I know this is one of the homie Ricky's pet peeves. Me redirecting the conversation to something else. But speaking about unnecessary rematches, this Saturday, Liam Beefy Smith is taking on Chris Eubank uh, Jr. Chris Eubank, because I don't think his father was. Wait, is it? Maybe he is a junior. Well, Chris Eubank. Uh, and remember that they just fought like about 6 months ago or so. Uh, Chris Eubank was very smug. He wasn't really taking himself serious. He was cracking a lot of jokes. He had that bumptious attitude, while Beefy Smith was just that dog, that serious dog that's saying, "Oh, I need you to talk like that. I need you to have that attitude because I'm gonna destroy you." And in fact, he ended up doing so, because to me it seemed like Chris Eubank was being very passive about his fight with Liam Smith. And when he stepped in the ring, he was very passive, very backwards walking, inactive, trying to be queued up in there. And of course, it caught up to him. Beefy Smith walked into the corner, and he starts throwing a volley of punches. And in one of those, he clips Eubank and the right side of his face, and down he goes, and he cannot recover. Or maybe he recovered and he comes back down. Um, there was some uh, allegations that the reason why Chris Eubank fell like that from one punch, that it didn't look that potent, was because the way that Liam Smith threw it, he threw it and he struck him with the elbow. Now, I'm not too sure what happened. All I know is that one guy went in there with a negative attitude, and he lost by knockout. And to me, a knockout is the end all be all of boxing. There is no better way to win than via knockout. And in fact, the knockout is the perfect execution of the puncher's chance. You can be down and out for every single round until the last second. And if you're lucky enough, you throw that punch and you have that moxie to still go through 12 rounds and throw one punch. And if your opponent makes a mistake and you land it, you win it. No questions about it. Because the sport of boxing is not so much the skill set, it's what you do in there. And what do you guys think about this? Because obviously we're not going to be paying pay-per-view for that, because we're in the United States of America, and they are fighting over there in the United Kingdom, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but we're going to get to watch that, without having to pay extra money, likely on the ESPN app, or maybe it's on the Zone. I think it's on ESPN. Are you guys interested in watching that, or is it as futile and unnecessary as this fight that we were just discussing for about an hour or so?
I mean, I'll watch it. I'm not so interested in those guys. I mean, yeah, it has a good storyline. Chris Eubank being silly or whatever, not taking the fight serious. But you know, like you said, this guy got beat by a knockout. You know, an
Yeah.
elbow. I didn't. I don't remember seeing an elbow when I saw the knockout. I just saw the highlights. But like I said, that doesn't really catch my attention. Those two names, as much as these American fights right here with Crawford. I'm sorry, Canelo, or uh, fighting the Charlo twin. But yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. I enjoy a good boxing fight. You know,
That you
uh, these guys that are at the top of the food chain. So yeah,
that
I mean, I'll watch it.
that you big fight is that on the Zone? Is that on the Zone? Do
I
you
think
know
they're the
what?
zone fighters, man. Yeah, I don't think they're ESPN, but I mean, don't quote me on that. But
I
you
wonder.
know,
I think yeah, I'm pretty sure they're on the Zone, but I didn't get to watch the first one, but I just seen the highlight and I was like, damn. I think it was one of those things where it's like it was like one of those styles fight, you know. Eubank was just
when you said yeah,
Eubank's
well,
never gonna
Herms.
be ready for Beefy Smith, you know. He's a veteran. I think he's a veteran, man. He's been in the game for a minute. Uh,
Yeah.
I remember I went to his fight against when he fought Munguia, a young Munguia, and I was like, damn, this guy was putting it on him, but he was giving him a hard time. You know, he lost the fight still, but I remember seeing him. I was like, damn, this guy's freaking rugged. And I actually remember seeing him, like in person, like in street clothes, like out in the parking lot randomly in Vegas, near obviously near where he was fighting, but he was kind of like slightly bigger than me. You're like, damn, this guy's pretty big, you know. So he's like a good 5'10", you know, big dude, but Eubank's like 6 foot, you know. So there's a reason why they call him Beefy Smith, and I know he kind of looks scrawny, but I think in reality he's a strong motherfucker, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, he's a strong motherfucker, dude, because he's like my size, bro. Like he walk around weight, he's probably like like 180 walk around weight, you know. But yeah, no, this guy's tough and rugged. He's a veteran, and wouldn't be surprised if he knocks him out again. But the odds, because I'm a betting guy, you guys know this. The betting odds show like plus 100 on a decision, and then plus 130 on the knockout, or something like that. So I'm just like, okay, they don't really know what's gonna happen, you know. So this is not a 50-50 fight. It's more like how is it gonna happen? You know, is Eubank gonna get knocked out again? Because I think that's at least something that Eubank has to walk away with, is at least walk away 12 rounds without getting knocked out, because that made him look really bad. I
Hmm.
think he was a favorite. No, I think he was a favorite first time around. I'm not too sure, but man, yeah, I remember Roy Jones Jr. got a lot of criticism. I was like, damn, that was kind of crazy. And then Roy Jones started kind of getting all crazy on IG and saying, you know what? He started saying all this shit about how great he was as a boxer, and it's like, oh my god. But I don't know. Um, I think it's one of those things where Eubank isn't just as disciplined anymore. I think he's kind of like a rich guy. You know, he's just living off of what he has. You know, and kind of in a comfortable state of mind. You know. Um, but who knows, man? We'll see. Um, I heard TBV was saying that he's actually the closest thing to Roy Jones Jr. I'm like, how? You know, I don't really see how he's close to Roy Jones Jr. stylistically. Like, I think that style that Roy Jones Jr. had is prehistoric now. You know, you won't make it that far with that style because they're gonna catch you slipping. And Roy Jones Jr. did a lot of cocky shit that he in this it was kind of got kind of lucky with. with doing, you know. Because today's fighters, I just feel like are way more talented um than ever, you know. So uh, yeah, Eubank is a solid fighter. He's athletic. Kind of reminds me of Robert Blair the Flair a little bit. Same kind of body
Eh,
type. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Eubank still. I think he's kind of declining in a sense, you know. But we'll see.
Blair the Flair Cobbs, always a character. I love following that
Yeah,
guy.
not. I'm
He's
not
at
saying the character because well, Eubank's kind of on the quiet side,
yeah,
and Blair the Flair's hella funny. He's fucking wild. But
hilarious.
I'm saying like athletically, like they're kind of similar,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. Can you explain to our listeners how it is that you know for certain that that was Liam Beefy Smith that you ran into?
Oh yeah, because they had Team Smith, and then I seen his brother walk with him.
No, no.
Huh?
There's another way. Let's say that he didn't have the jacket that says Smith.
No,
What? How else would you tell that it's Liam Smith?
dude, we seen him because he had like white hair, and it
There
was
you go.
pretty. He had like white hair, and he was like,
Yeah,
and then we seen his brother, um, his brother who was I forget Colin Smith, right?
Kevin
Yeah,
Smith.
Calvin
Yeah,
Smith, yes sir. He's 6'3", 6'4".
yeah. Remember we seen him in the parking lot?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
It's the silver hair. It's the silver hair.
yeah,
He's
silver hair.
famous for having
Yeah,
silver colored hair. It's incredible. It's beautiful hair. He's had it like that since a kid. It's the weirdest thing, but
really?
it's yeah. He's had it like that. That's not him. Oh, he's like 33. He's been like that since he fought Canelo when he was like 28. So he's just been gray colored forever. That's not him turning gray. In fact, when he turns gray, he says that his hair is gonna turn black.
Like
And I was seeing if you guys were eating that one.
ends, it reverse when it comes down to Liam Smith.
Yeah. He's gonna turn into a baby. He started off as an old man.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
the homie Ricky, do you have time for another guest?
I sure do, but could we end this live and then I will pick up a new live with the guest in a different format?
Oh yeah, we could, of course. For those not interested, just wanted to wrap it up by well, just basically trying to make a segue. We have a special guest. Uh, his name is Cal Paradox, a um, a hip hop artist, an independent hip hop artist, who is always a very informed, intelligent individual when it comes to all things hip hop, politics, etiquette, and whatnot. And this is a guy that I've known for a very long time. This is, in fact, one of maybe two. On a good day, I'll count three men that I could say they're friends. Um, Not that I'm antisocial, not that I am not friendly. It's just that there is friends, there is family, and the distinction between one and the next is, in my eyes, uh, it's almost the same thing, right? So to get to that level, you really have to gain my trust, and he's gained it for at least 2 decades. Um, from when I used to be a musician playing the drums in a punk rock band. But nonetheless, we are gonna end this live to introduce to the world and our listeners California Paradox, Acapulco Cal, the MC legend extraordinaire from Salinas, California, in the central coast of the beautiful Golden State. And we will be ending this live. For those that want to continue listening, I'm sure the homie Ricky is gonna send that link so you guys can feel free and listen into something else besides boxing related conversation.
Alrighty, guys. On that note, I'll see you on the next one. Have a good night.
Good night.